Shout out to Tennessee. Okay, Tennessee, y'all did it. Y'all did it. Y'all did it. This has been a long time coming. This law, okay, excuse me, this proposed law, excuse me, will basically reshape the landscape. There will be no more fraudulent activities, okay, going on. No more parental fraud. No more men having to pay child support, okay, on accident for a kid that ain't theirs. Okay, it will remove all of that from the legal system in Tennessee. All right, so the new proposed bill will protect Tennessee parents from paternity fraud. All right, um, the state representative Antonio Parkinson, he represents Memphis in the 98 district. Okay, recently I was approached, excuse me, by a young man who told me he had been in a long-term relationship. Together they had a son, and he signed the voluntary acknowledgement of paternity. They were not married. 5 years later, he found out the mother had been unfaithful during the time they were together. He and the child took a DNA test. The results proved that he was not the father. Subsequently, the relationship ended. The woman then sued for child support. Juvenile court, he presented the DNA evidence to the magistrate and was basically told somebody's got to feed him and it will be you. He was ordered to pay child support and found in arrears. Eventually, his license was suspended and he was pulled over in jail for driving on a suspended license. Sitting in jail, he lost his job because he voluntarily signed and it had passed a 5 year period to rescind the voluntary acknowledgement. He was deemed the legal parent. Through though through this process, the actual biological parent's child was stolen from him. Finally, under this scenario, the child's right to have their legal biological father listed on the birth certificate, in some cases, their lives was also stolen from them. He's basically, and I'm reading an article from the Tennessean. Multiple reports state that 1/3 of signatures on birth certificates from unmarried couples do not reflect the biological father's name. Jesus Christ. A third? 33%? Wow. Under House Bill 2000 2698, I'm gonna just call it that. Senate Bill 1777. Unwed fathers could still voluntarily sign, but in order for the birth certificate to be officially validated, the signer must provide the results of a DNA test to vital records. That's not unfucking reasonable, bro. That's not unreasonable. Okay, that's not unreasonable. That's not a tall ask. I think there was a camp of people online that were literally upset, especially guess who? Child support, because now they won't be able to collect that money. Okay, the state will not be able to collect that money from that man on a child that ain't his. I think regardless of marital status, the DNA test should be required. Okay, it should be just flat out required. Doing this to young men, it and the child is losing too. Like the whole family unit, everything is it's basically being messed up. Because imagine this was done legally and he found out when the child was 4, right? Boom, he's gone. That child has now lost his whole family and now is confused about his whole life. What do you mean this person that I love dearly ain't my dad and no longer wants nothing to do with me and sees me as trash? That's a different level of betrayal. And why, mothers, do y'all want to put the child through that? This will ensure that the biological father is listed on the birth certificate of the child. The Tennessee Department of Human Services, who oversees the child support program, is fighting vigorously to kill the bill. Why? Because the department fears any changes in the enforcement rules could possibly jeopardize the $52 million in funding it receives from the federal government for its child support enforcement programs. In addition, DHS could also potentially receive millions more for reaching a 90% acknowledged births, yet another bonus out there for exceeding the quota. So there's potentially there I mean there's possibly a huge financial motivation to turn a blind eye to individuals blindly signing the VAT forms. The DHS program actually aids in paternity fraud by allowing unsuspected uh, punitive fathers to blindly sign a birth certificate without DNA proof of actual biological fatherhood. In fairness, DHS there is a 60-day grace period to remove your name from the birth certificate. Also, a father can contest paternity in where a DNA test will be ordered. There is a 5-year period where one could go through the expensive legal process to rescind the voluntary acknowledgement of paternity, but they will have the burden of proving it was done fraudulently. It was after this 5-year period where the young man I was talking about was locked in legally or blindly signing the voluntary acknowledgement of paternity. All of this can be remedied by simply requiring a DNA test on the front end, absolutely, to alleviate any challenges and potential emotional scarring for the child, the wrongfully accused father, the mother, and the rightful biological father. We always hear the words, do what's best for the child. As the state, we should do that. Keep the child at the forefront and do what's best on the front end to minimize the pain and hurt on the back end. Boom. And I'm assuming this put forward by State Representative Antonio Parkinson that represents the Memphis 98, the 98th district. I fully agree with him. I think more states need this. Okay, this should be across the United States. The child support program is wrong. Okay, it's fucked up. It's straight fucked up. It's a fucked up program. All right, and all it does is screw men over. Okay, time and time again. Okay, that man lost not only he lost his license, lost his job, in jail now over a child that ain't his. Ridiculous. 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 Y'all let me know what y'all thinking in the comment section down below about this video. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.